Hey guys, welcome back to Does God Love Us? Alright, today we're going to talk about what is probably one of the best known Bible stories. When you look at all of the surrounding circumstances to this story, I feel like it's so much deeper than if you just gloss over the story and don't really put some thought into it, then you miss out on a lot of things that I think are pretty important. And it also makes the story a little more interesting. So, we're going to talk about David and Goliath. You're like, I know this story. Okay, yes, a lot of people do. Maybe you don't, and maybe this will be amazing for you. Maybe either way, it'll be amazing. We have in 1 Samuel 17, the story. And as it starts out, we have David, who's sent by his father to bring some bread to his brothers who were in the army of the Israelites. Now, what this army is facing, this army is up on a hill, and then there's a valley, and there's the Philistine army over here on this hill. And they've been there for days and days and days, a long time. But what's happening is, instead of the army just coming together and battling, you have a giant. Now, I'm not talking like the giant who will step on you and squash you. I'm talking like a very tall, big man. A very well-built, muscular, strong giant of a man. I think, if I remember right, he was like around 9 feet, just huge. And I believe that he had brothers also. So it's not like there's just this one giant person. Apparently, there's at least his brothers. Probably some more. I don't know 100% sure. But either way, let's keep going. So this giant, his name is Goliath, and he keeps coming down and yelling to the Israelites and saying, hey, what are you guys afraid of? Come and fight me. Send a champion to fight me. And if he kills me, then we will be your slaves. If I kill him, then you will be our slaves. Obviously, the Israelites are scared because there's this huge man, and it's weird because if you think about this, okay, you got this huge giant man coming and threatening, and he blasphemes God, he makes fun of their God, all of that stuff. So with that, here comes David. He's coming over, he's giving bread to his brothers, and he hears this going on, and he's like, who is that? What is going on? Why are we allowing this person to blaspheme our God? Why isn't someone going and fighting him? His brothers actually get mad at him. They're like, go back to the sheep, little boy, is pretty much what they say. You have no business here. Why are you even here? Give us our bread and be gone. Well, interestingly enough, the king of the Israelites, whose name is Saul, hears about this person, David, who is questioning why they're just allowing this to happen. And he's like, okay, send for this person. What I would think is that he's thinking, okay, it's this big guy, and maybe he'll be our champion. Maybe this will be perfect. Instead, here comes this from anywhere from the age of like 19 to 21, maybe even 18-year-old kid, a boy, a shepherd. I don't know what Saul was thinking when he saw him, but he probably, I imagine, was like, yeah. But David made enough of an argument to him to say, hey, I'm a shepherd, but I've killed a bear and I've killed a lion defending my sheep. I can do this. God is with me on this. We can't allow this to keep happening, to allow this guy to keep coming out here and blaspheming our God. What? Pretty much he says, what are you guys afraid of? If God's on my side, let me go take care of it. You would think that Saul would be like, go back to your sheep. But there must have been enough frustration and enough days must have gone by where Saul must have been at his very wit's end. You know how there's challenges and different things where a person is finally worn down to where they're just like, I don't even care anymore. I imagine that must be what Saul feels like. You know what? Okay, maybe God is with him. Let's go ahead and let him fight this giant. I would also imagine that Saul's advisors and the people around him are like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're going to let this boy go out there and fight this giant? What are you thinking? And then to add on to that, Saul's like, okay, put my armor on him. So David gets all dressed in this big, bulky armor that protects Saul and everything. And he's like, I can't wear this. I can't even move. And so he takes it off. And he says, I'll take my sling. It's like taking a sling to a knife fight. I mean, really, it's a pea shooter compared to a shotgun. They must have just been like, Saul, you can't do this. This is our whole, this is our whole army. This is you. You're the king. What are you thinking? But he said, go face this giant. So David, I can only think that his brothers too are like, oh, how embarrassing. This is going to look so bad on our family. They probably talked to David and was like, do not do this. What are you thinking? Do you know the shame you're going to bring? I don't know. I would figure that would be something that would happen. When you get into the little details of all the stuff that must have gone on around this. Because we read it in like a chapter or two. But David's like, I'm going to do this. And I have God on my side. So I got this with God. So I don't know if all the Israelite army knew this as they're watching. But Goliath comes out and he makes his jeer. He makes his blasphemous comments. He mocks the Israelites and mocks their God and all of that stuff. And here comes this boy. Maybe he thought, oh, what is that boy doing over there? He must not know what's going on. But this boy keeps walking towards him. Goliath mocks David. He's like, I will feed your flesh to the birds. I would think that Goliath is probably like, this is a joke. They have given up. Maybe even thinking, okay, we need to watch the other, maybe we need to watch the other side of our camp or something. Maybe this is all a trick because they cannot be sending this little boy out to fight me. And the Israelites watching this are they're probably packing their stuff. Okay, if I was Saul, and in the mindset of a king who's probably gonna lose because he just sent this boy out to fight this giant, he's probably like, get my chariots ready. Get them ready so we can get out of here as soon as this is done. So the Israelites probably packing up their stuff, getting their stuff all ready, thinking, where are we gonna go? This group is probably saying, hey, we're gonna go to this place. We'll meet here. We'll go here. The Philistines, if they're sitting out there watching all this, like, is that? There's a boy going out. Hey, I imagine them grabbing drinks. Let's drink and watch this. Let's see what happens here. Hey, get the swords ready. Get everything ready. We're going to go, this is going to be amazing. And it's probably like they're thinking that they're watching where they know the outcome. So David's approaching. Goliath is mocking him and just laughing at all of this. This is insane. Israelites are scared. Philistines are all like, all right, we've won this. David picks up 5 smooth stones, 5 of them. And so he's walking towards Goliath, and Goliath is walking towards him. And again, I can only imagine Goliath is just like, you stupid people. What are you doing? And so David is walking up to him, and he probably feels that feeling of, okay, God, this is what is right to do. I'm going to do it. And be with me, please. But with that steadfast knowledge that I'm not allowing this to keep going on. You're not going to blaspheme my God. So then he starts, getting that sling ready. And as he lets go of that rock, I strongly doubt that Goliath probably even ducked. He probably was just watching the whole thing. Just like, I can't wait to get closer so I can rip you apart and we can just take the Israelites as our slaves. And maybe he doesn't even see it coming. But then thunk, right on his forehead. And Goliath goes, whoop. Now, as a rock flying through the air, it's probably not big enough to be seen by these armies that are up on these hills. I don't know. Maybe some people came closer. I don't know. Probably not the Israelites. They were probably like, back there getting ready to go. Maybe the Philistines were sitting up there going, oh man, he's playing a joke. He's playing around. He's going to wait till David is right up to him, or till this boy is right up to him. And then he's going to tear him apart. He's going to make a whole, scene out of this. He's going to make this an actual production, something for us to watch. And David gets closer and closer. And he reaches and he grabs Goliath's own sword. And they're like, come on, Goliath, get up. What are you waiting for? And then he lifts the sword above his head. And they're probably just like, come on, get up. What are you doing? And he chops Goliath's head off. At that moment, that second, where his head is off of his body, and now you can't live through that. You're dead. So they know he's dead. He's dead. Like, I imagine the shock on both sides was probably it probably took everyone a moment. There probably wasn't an instant clamor. It was probably like you might even be able to hear a pin drop. Oh. And the Israelites that were probably almost with their backs turned. Okay, let's go. What? Whoa, what just happened? What? And then they go grab their stuff and they go charging after the Philistines, who probably took a second because they probably were not packing and not thinking about fleeing. And then his brothers, who went from, you are shaming us, get back to your sheep, this is, who do you think you are, to, our little brother just killed Goliath. He just, won this war for our nation. It's all pretty incredible when you really start to think about all the little things that had to have gone on in people's minds when all of this took place. When Goliath's head was chopped off and the Israelites knew, we just won. And they go charging down there with, their hearts are probably just full of this overwhelming relief that this giant is killed, and now these Philistines are fleeing. And the Philistines are just like, I cannot believe what just happened. And maybe some of them are like, whoa, their God must have something way better than our God because of what just happened. And they're fleeing. When I think of this story and I think of all those things that took place, I think of the way that God worked everything out. All these other people, all these other stronger men, all these other people who could have said, you know what? I believe in God and I'm not going to allow this to happen. Instead, it took this boy who was just disgusted at what was being allowed to happen, at the way that they were just standing by while this guy kept every single day mocking their God, and how God used him. Because David eventually went on to become the king of Israel. There's so many stories in between that too. But the things that had to take place, Saul had to allow him to do that. God used the wearing down of Saul's willpower, of his fortitude, of his strength, to where he finally was like, okay, go boy, and try to kill this giant. And he probably was like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And God used all of that. And there's so many situations that we can be in where things look hopeless, where things look like they are coming to an end, like they're going to be all bad for us. But here's the thing. You can choose to be the David. We can all be that David. We can all decide, you know what? I'm not going to allow this thing that is against God to keep happening, whatever it is. And it might be a situation where everything looks like it's just crumbling around you and there's no hope. And you might even think, I'm just me. I'm just little old me. Who am I to do anything? Who am I to, But if you have a relationship with God, if you trust God, if you have faith in God, you can succeed in these things, these battles. And there's going to be people who will discourage you. There's going to be people who try to tell you, you don't belong here. You have no business saying this. You have no business talking about this. Look at you. Look what you did. Look at, the mistakes you've had, or whatever it is. You're just a shepherd. You're just this. You're just a janitor. You just, whatever kind of thing. It doesn't matter, because God was with David. And I truly believe that God would have been with any other person who stood up and said, no, I'm not allowing this to happen. This has to change. But it was David. And he uses those people. And it's interesting because David had a heart after God. And God knew that. And that is not something that is unreachable for us, unattainable for us. That is so attainable. It takes learning about God, building a relationship with God, and praying to God, talking to God, being vulnerable to God. It takes all of that, but it's so doable. It's not like God has put this path in front of us that, okay, well, sorry, you're this weight, you're not going to be able to do this. You can't do 20 pull-ups. Sorry, you're not going to be able to do it. Or, oh, you only have one arm? Sorry. Nothing. None of those things. It's all up to you to reach out and build a relationship with God. I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed that story. I like thinking about all the little things that have gone into these stories that we read about in the Bible, because the thought processes of the people around watching and a part of these stories they just are so interesting to think about, to imagine, to try and put ourselves in the shoes of those people and kind of relive that. And then to realize I can also have a relationship with God. I can do amazing things. I can defeat these obstacles. I can defeat these problems, these worries, this whatever it is that you have with God. So until next time, I hope you guys will dig into your Bible and work on building that relationship with God. Work on knowing Him. Work on understanding the love that He has for us. And I will see you next time, and we'll probably have another story, because I kind of like that. So thank you for watching. I super appreciate it. As long as I'm reaching some people out there and this helps some people, that is what this is all about. So I will talk to you next time.